Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Clara Rose. I, of course, am your host, Clara Rose. If you haven't been here with us before, every week we show up to talk about interesting things that my audience is either asking about or I think that they're going to find interesting to help them be a more savvy author or savvy entrepreneur or savvy business owner. And then, of course, sometimes I have the pleasure of having a special guest, which I do today, and I'm very excited about that. If you have been with us before, you know all that. And I just want to say, welcome back, my friend. Today, I do have a savvy author with me. That just means she's one of my authors. She's been through the program with me, and I either ghost wrote her book or I co-wrote her book, or in some way I was involved in the production of her book. And it's always super exciting for me to have them on the show to talk about not just their experience in putting the book together, but their experience after the fact. So please help me welcome one of my authors and now a good friend of mine, Danette Galvis. Welcome, my friend.
Hello. Thank you for having me
How are
back. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's so good to
Doing
see
great.
you.
Yes, you too.
It's always fun when the process of putting together a book is so um, well, it's so lengthy, right? So for a
Yes,
year, I get to see these people like weekly or every other week, like an ongoing basis, and you just build these friendships out of it. And then the book's
yes,
over, and then they're gone, and you're like, "Hey,
right,
where did my friend go?"
right.
Right?
I've been
I
recently saying
miss.
it was very therapeutic. So you are in some way a nice
Uh,
therapist to hear my downloads and hear all the things. So, yes, my therapy sessions are not happening anymore.
right? It's time to write another book. Maybe
Yes,
we need a workbook or something. We need more therapy time. It's good
right.
therapy for me too, because I love the
Yes,
process so much. So the
yes,
book came out in July, right? And so
yes.
I, of course, have a little copy of it right here. Came out in
Yay.
July. We did a book signing at the Reen Live event, which was awesome. So I got to. It's one of my favorite things to do, of course, is to be able to say ta-da, right? We did it, yay!
Right,
And at the
right.
celebration, super
And
fun
not
to
and don't
participate in
forget to
that.
mention it was number 1 new release on Amazon
Yes,
for
it
that week.
was. Yes, it
Yes,
was, which is always the goal, right? Always the
yes,
goal. So then you forever say number one bestseller, which is always
right,
nice too. Good for
yes,
sales and etc. So for those who didn't see you the first time that you're with me, tell us a
mhm,
little bit about why you wrote the book, because there's a story
sure.
behind it.
Yes, there is. So my day job has been real estate for 29 years. And I have done all of the real estate things, buyer's agent, seller's agent, listing properties, driving people around, showing them properties, and turned that into a couple of years ago full-time real estate investor while I started to buy properties and either rehab them or flip them and sell them once they were repaired and love was returned back to the home with those repairs and remodeling, or I've held on to a couple as well for long term purposes. So I rehab homes. And the personal side of my story is that I have personally been rehabbed and am coming upon 9 years of sobriety from alcohol. And 9 years ago, checked myself into a rehab facility. And I've been rehabbed and I rehab homes, so I'm tying those two subjects together. You mentioned the RAIN network. I am the flipping and remodeling coach inside the RAIN network, and I coach consistently how we get these homes that are distressed, or maybe the previous owner was not able to take care of it like they once did and it needs a new roof or foundation work, or it's just in disrepair and they're overwhelmed. So we rehab homes and we bring them back to health again. And then we are able to turn around and sell them to a new
Mhm,
buyer, a new family to start to
mhm.
build new memories in. And so we do the same when we are going to treatment for alcoholism or any addiction. And so I blend those two subjects together. The Lord laid it on my heart. You and I spoke about the topic, and you chose to take me on and help me through the process. with each chapter. So that is the basis of the book, is sharing my testimony and
Mhm.
also giving practical tips on how to rehab a home. If you're new to real estate
Mhm.
investing or remodeling a property, I give practical tips and tie the two subjects together.
So something that people may not have caught in the title is it says
Hmm.
Kingdom Rehab Her, not
Yes.
rehabber, rehab
Yes.
her, because it's
Hmm.
about the RAIN network, of course, is women in real estate investing,
Hmm.
right? So it's
Yes.
specifically a women's organization. I mean, you
Yes.
coach every week women
Yes.
in real
Hmm.
estate investing, and
Three times a
your
week.
book,
Yes.
Kingdom Rehab Her, is
Hmm.
the rehabbing of you. You're the her. You're the her
I'm
right
her.
here, right?
She is me.
You're it.
I am the general contractor on my deals,
Mhm,
and so it is
mhm,
not a normal thing to be a female working kind of in a
mhm.
man's world, with all the different contractors and subcontractors and crews that I have. I am uh, the little boss on the job sites.
So the fun thing is that we have done some flipping ourselves, some
Mhm,
real estate investing, if you will, ourselves. We're dabblers, right? You're a full
mhm,
time uh, doer of this, but we're definitely the dabblers of it. But it's just super fun for me in the creation of
mhm,
this because I got to see you
mhm,
talking about stuff that made sense to me already. But I
mhm,
also love that you built right into this book the ability for someone to buy this book and learn so much, not just about
mhm.
your journey, which is definitely interesting, but about rehabbing a home, right? And then the
Yes,
correlation between rehabbing a home and how God can rehab us, right?
yes,
That's the beauty of
yes,
that being married together. So
yes,
it was super exciting journey. But I want to talk about beyond July. Right, we launched in
yes,
July. It was super exciting,
yes,
bestseller, all those good things. But things have
yes,
happened beyond July. So tell us what's going on now after you've written your book
yes.
and put it out there to the world.
Well, so I realize now that a book tour of sorts is podcasting. So I have been
Mhm,
interviewed about four times on various podcasts. I have a couple of people that are on TV that are considering interviewing me on TV, and the final step. Well, I guess I don't want to say final. My next step into real estate investing, I have under contract right now my first sober living home. So I mentioned that I went into treatment for 30 days, which is an inpatient program, and you have a lot of rules and regulations. You don't get your cell phone. You are in there
mhm,
to focus on recovery from whatever it may
mhm,
be. Well, the next transition is where I also went, which is called sober living, a transitional home that
mhm,
helps you learn more tools. You have a little more freedom inside that home, but you learn
mhm,
more tools to be able to go back into life without that addiction, without alcohol for me, without drugs, whatever it might be for someone. So it is a transitional home, temporary in some sort, so that the person could go and get further help in an outpatient program. So my heart is to open
mhm.
up homes for women specifically to help them get on their feet. And what I've learned since launching the book is just more confirmation after confirmation that this is the calling on my life. This is where and why I had to go through what I went through with addiction and alcoholism. Once it made me mad and bitter and angry. And now I'm excited and thrilled to be able to go and start helping other people find freedom on the flip side of
On the flip
addiction.
side. Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, that's the tagline, freedom on the flip
Yes.
side.
Yes,
And that's
ma'am.
it, freedom on the flip side of addiction.
Mhm. Mhm.
Something that you had said to me during the process of creating the book, during the writing process, was that statistically, the longer that you're in some form of treatment, the greater
Yes.
your chances of success. So
Yes.
that 30 days in the actual treatment, that's the start. But that next
Mhm.
step moving into, tell us how important that sober living, that next step was in your
Yes.
recovery.
Well, as it is said in its name, sober living, the one main rule of being a guest in the home is that you choose to stay sober. So it is an accountability piece that is super important. And then there are group therapies. It's called an outpatient program where you would then continue to go to your outpatient program, group therapies, therapist. You do get a job and you start to incorporate living normally without being in a confined rehab facility. You get your phone back. If you have a car, you're able to drive. There is a curfew that you are required to be home. So there are policies, and there will be a live-in manager and accountability for the ladies that will be in the home. But it's that phase before you go back to your home, or before you go back to living on your own in your own apartment where nobody's watching. It is really learning tools to help you stay successful. So yes, I learned that in treatment, that the longer you stay in a recovery program, the greater chances you have of staying sober. Now, they say some are sicker than others, so sometimes it takes a lot longer. I was in a sober living home for about 35 days. So a total treatment for me was about 60. Actually, I saw the other day, 66 days I was in treatment. Some are in for 3 months at 90 days. And some could stay in the sober living home for a year if they needed to
Wow.
or chose to, and it was working for them. They're free to stay.
See,
Yes.
that's interesting. We hadn't talked about that piece before, but
Mhm.
so then having a home that's dedicated to somebody who can just stay there long term becomes super valuable, right? So that
Yes.
if they're like 30 days has passed, they're like, you know what, I'm not really ready to go out
Right.
on
Right.
my own, right? Totally
Mhm.
on my own. I'm not really ready for that. Having that
Mhm.
place where they can stay, I think
Yes.
is just super important. I don't know how many of
Yes.
them there are out there.
Yes.
In I had never heard of them until you and I started working together on your project. Is it something that there's a lot of them out there, or is there a short
Right.
supply?
Well, so I recently went to a state conference for
Mm,
addiction association professionals. So it was for our state of Texas. And there are a lot of sober living homes out there, but 70% of them are men. So when I would
ah,
share with the people I would network with that I was opening up a woman's home, they were like, oh, good, it's so needed. So that was
mm,
one confirmation that God gave me, is that moving forward, it is for women. And
mhm,
the one thing that we mentioned is it's a group home. It's a shared home. It's a shared space, and
mhm,
even your bedroom is shared. And that creates, again, accountability. Isolation is
mm.
not our friend when we are working
Right.
through recovery. And being in a group home like this, especially with women, I want to use the word sisterhood. I know that's used a lot in
Mhm,
our women community, but it really becomes
mhm,
a sisterhood where you are trusting other women with your deepest, darkest
mm.
secrets. And there's an
Right.
immediate bond that happens when you start to be able to be vulnerable and allow people to see all the things you've done
Mhm,
or experienced and still love you.
right. Because they understand, because they've been there,
Yep.
right? So there's nothing
Yes.
quite like having a community of people. And
Mhm.
I think we're as a society beginning to learn and understand more how important community is, and a
Yes.
community of people going through the same thing.
Mhm.
Of course, there's going to be natural bonds, right? That are just
Yes.
it,
Yes.
and a sisterhood that's going to
Yes.
happen, just like
And your
rain
mindset
becomes a
starts to shift. You
sisterhood.
start to feel
Yeah.
your love. You start to feel like you are enough. And, I learned also through the networking is just the mental health that needs to be revitalized and loved on and cared for. And so many people that
Mhm.
are in addiction, it is a mental health thing, right? So our mind thinks differently. We have different, not obsessive thoughts, but like for, let's say, addiction, it's something you can't stop thinking about when you're in the thick of it. So
Mm,
you're learning how to think differently. You're learning how
mhm.
to manage life differently, and you're learning how to communicate with others, live with others, operate with others on all life things. So it's really a beautiful stage of recovery, because you really, like, I just spoke with someone and toured another sober living house, and she said, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave these women. They mean so much to me. She knows eventually that she will, but there is so much connection, and it's really a beautiful thing.
And then of course it gives them time to like get a job, and often,
Yes,
you don't have that because either your addiction has made it so that you don't
yes,
have that, or you set your
100%.
job aside, right? So that you can
Mhm,
get well, you can recover.
mhm.
So sometimes we're starting over, right? Kind of from the
Yes, it
bottom.
absolutely
So
is.
get
Right.
that job.
Unfortunately, addiction, it does take over,
Mm,
and there's lots of
mhm,
bridges burnt, not just, with
mm,
a work or being fired or a coworker, but your family. You burn bridges there too. Sometimes you hurt the ones you love the most, right? So it is a way to be able to start making those amends. When I mentioned an outpatient program and group therapies, you're learning how to do that. You're going through a process of making those amends and saying you're sorry for those things that you may remember or not remember that you did, and really having heart to heart conversations to begin the healing process with those that you love in your life. And then you
mm,
do have to recreate your life, because you're no longer hanging out at
mhm.
bars. You're no longer going
Right,
to the different happy hours or events. You are going to a different, like, cooking class or an exercise
right.
class. Those are fun things that will be offered within the sober living home. Is I plan to bring in a nutritionist to help teach the ladies cooking, or eating healthy and serving your body well, and physical wellness as well. So there's a lot of things that will be offered, in addition to just a place to sleep and a furnished home
Just
with
right.
utilities taken care of. It is a little deeper than that.
A different learning to live a different way, right?
Yes.
And any changes that you make in your life, I know once I gave up sugar, and once I gave
Yes.
up coffee, which heaven forbid, right?
Right.
And just those
No,
little
not yet
tiny
for me.
changes, right, were
Yes.
devastating to my
Yes.
routine. You get up and you're
Yes.
like wandering in circles, like, what do I do now that I'm not sitting by the pool with my coffee? I don't know how to
Yes.
behave. Right.
Yes.
So imagine changing, having to learn how to live your entire day, your entire life differently, because you're choosing to walk away from an addiction that has controlled
Yes.
and consumed your life.
Keyword
Huge
there is
change.
choosing, is choosing. You're
Yeah.
now on a path of making a choice versus stuck. And that addiction, that craving is taken hold. So it's a daily thing that your body is craving. And
Hmm.
you're talking about sugar, right? Our body is
Hmm.
craving that a lot. But once you cut it out, that's where the beauty of our tagline, freedom on the flip side, applies.
Hmm.
You begin to feel that freedom on the flip side when you no longer have that craving tugging at you every day. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, that whole phrase. And then also freedom for the portion of remodeling homes and rehabbing homes. Financial freedom on the flip side comes, because for
Right.
me, it's a passion. For me, I love getting into the home and fixing things and being creative in the space of choosing tile, choosing flooring, choosing paint. I
Hmm.
love all of that and the freedom of my schedule, but also the freedom financially that it brings by having a real estate portfolio that will grow over time. But the freedom on the flip
Hmm.
side from addiction is not thinking about it as much. The obsession goes away. Your mind starts to think about other things, and again, you're healthy again. Your thoughts are healthy again, which lead you to making better choices throughout the day. Instead of reaching for something that's bad for you, you reach for something that's good for you.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you for not
Thank
just
you.
answering when God said, "Yeah, you're writing this book," and your obedience, right? It was scary, to take that
Yes.
step. And even
Yes.
scarier to you're putting your
Yes.
story out to the world, right?
Yes.
So there's a
Mhm.
vulnerability that happens in that. And yes, it was therapeutic for you, but it's still a big step to do that. And I'm so proud that you took that step. And of course, completely honored that you chose me to be a part of that journey.
Yes. Yes.
I'm even more excited about what is happening next, what God's doing
Yes.
now. I mean, you're out, you're speaking, and
Yes.
you have your first sober living house, right? It's not, you
Coming
just,
along.
did you just
Yes.
close on it or just
Actually,
getting
close in
started
2 weeks. Close
in a
in
few
2
weeks?
weeks. And it's a beautiful way that actually God really brought it to us on a Saturday morning. So it is going to be a beautiful experience. The sellers are having to transition into a different phase in their life with more assisted care. And so they're very excited that the home is going to be used for this purpose. So they're really uh, interested in helping others people, so they're really happy I'm taking over their property that they love and have cared for so long, and they know that it's going to have a great purpose for me and for them as they move on to the next stage. But I wanted to speak to the calling on my life, right? Even when
Mm,
we were writing the book, it wasn't, I mean, it was clear and I knew I had it in my heart to one day do sober living. But again, what's happened after writing this book, yes, I have put my testimony out there for the world to read forever and ever. It will forever be on Amazon. Even when I pass away, it will still be out there. And the beautiful thing for that is that it will still be helping others. If I can just help one
mhm,
person with my testimony, with doing these podcasts, with speaking out loud and speaking in a vulnerable way of sharing the ugly parts, but yet also be able to share the beautiful parts. The blessings are there, and the blessings will come through the
mhm,
obedience of, I
mhm,
mean, really, people that are they just know how to get through it or out of it.
mhm,
And so if I can help one person make the decision to give up something that's holding them back from their calling and purpose and assignment on life, then my work here is done. Right? That is exactly
mm.
why I'm talking to
Yeah,
you today. Exactly why
yeah,
I'm going to help women and hug women and share with them the same things,
mhm,
because I now see the beauty, the blessings that have come, that will continue to come through obedience of doing this work for his kingdom. That's where the word kingdom comes in for the
yeah,
book is Kingdom RehabHER. I believe this is my assignment, and I am doing kingdom work to help save souls from addiction and
mm,
the darkness that
yeah,
permeates their life right now, where the light can come in. You just have to be willing and obedient to say yes.
mm. Yes. Take a chance.
I'm preaching on
That's
you.
amazing. That's right. That's okay. We even saw it at the book signing that women were
Mhm.
coming up and saying, "This book is
Yes,
for me. You know, you wrote
yes,
this for me, or my spouse, or whatever."
yes,
So we
yes,
saw tears that you
yes.
don't see a lot of that at
Right,
a book signing normally. It's not a
right,
normal thing for people to be crying, and so I've already seen God working, and I just super excited to see this next phase and see all the lives. You say, if I could change one life, but my
right.
friend, you're going to change
That
many
might be
lives
low.
for years to come.
Yeah.
So super
And what we're
exciting.
doing next is we're going to audio record the book and do an ebook so that it's available
Yeah,
on
we
Kindle
are.
and all the other
Yes.
platforms, right? So that's our
Yes.
next
Because some
stage.
people love the digital, right? Some people are digital
Yes.
people. I, of course, as a publisher,
Mhm.
I love the smell and the
You want
feel of
that,
a book,
yes.
but some people really love their tablets or their e-readers. And then other
Mhm.
people, like my husband, listen to e-books all the time, audiobooks. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
absolutely the next step, is that we're going to get your book out there in those two formats so that you can impact even more
Mhm.
people. So super
Yes,
excited for that next step as well. So
yes.
really quickly tell
Mentioning the
people how they can, what's that?
I was just
It's,
gonna say, mentioning the audiobook, Learning Differences, my stepson has a learning difference, and
mm,
he asked if
mhm.
I was gonna record it, and I'm like, "You know what? I thought about it, but maybe I'll start working on that faster because that it is
Yeah.
exactly why some people don't want to sit and read. They don't have that
Right.
attention span. So it will help more people in that way. So to answer your
Absolutely true.
question on connecting with me, the other thing that
Yes.
happened is that the website is up and running. And so
Yay.
KingdomRehabHER.com is ready to go. It's live and people can share it to connect other people to buy the book, and then also connect with me through there as well with an email, info@kingdomrehabher.com. I am on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If anyone needs to connect with me through that, I would love for you to come follow me. I do plan on sharing the journey of sober living on my social medias. And I don't know if I'll do a separate account. I might just keep it all under mine. But I do plan on sharing some testimonies and just sharing the impact of what these homes will be doing for women when they come through the door.
I love that. I love that because I said it to you and I say it to all my authors when we start, we're creating a tool. What should this tool
Yes,
do, right? And that the
yes,
goal was to impact lives. So you're
yes.
well on the way, my friend. So
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank
Yes,
you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate your time. Of course, I know you're super busy with all the stuff that you do, but I'm excited to have you on the show to talk about what is happening next. So once the next phase
yes,
is launched, we may have you come back
yes,
and start talking a little bit more about share
yes,
some little pictures or something about the sober living thing as it unfolds. So
absolutely.
that would be
It will be
awesome. All
called,
right.
it will be
It has a
called, you
name.
guessed it, Rehab Her Recovery
Rehab
Residences.
her. I love that. I love
Yes,
that.
that's it.
Rehab
Mhm.
her. So remember when
Sounds a
you're
little more
trying to find
bougie than
her?
sober living.
Yes, it does sound more bougie, and I like that. I like that about you. I'm bougie too.
Yes.
All right, my friend. Thank you for being
Thank
with
you.
me. I will see you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Wasn't she great? I just loved working with her, and I so appreciate her time today. We are completely out of time, but I just want to let you know that the Savvy Author membership is getting ready to launch. Stay tuned, my friend. See you next week.